black with my pencil.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be a lot blacker.
Can you see all the powder?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that powder is gonna get on you, it's gonna get on the floor, it's gonna get everywhere. So, number one, and I think, was it you, Holly, that suggested they bring something, either an apron or,
Just was thinking it'd be nice
Okay.
to not ruin your
and
sports.
some of you, I think most of you heard me, don't take your shoes off. Leave your shoes on so that everything that falls on the floor, you don't track up to the house, you take the shoes off before you go into the white carpet, because this stuff is a mess, and it will smear. Now, what that did was get rid of all the dust, and it's also lighter.
Nice gradation.
You like that? Now, I can't do that with a pencil. I can to a certain point, but, you know, this is very soft, and I can, you know, I think, well, that was once black. Well, now look at this, by contrast. Now, if you're getting close to the final phase in a charcoal drawing, and you have this, which is not permanent, or even close to what a graphite pencil will do, this is going to get away from you. Smudge, whatever. It's just part of the quality of this charcoal. We have a fixative. Do you have that can here? And the fixative is what we spray on at the very end of the drawing. Now, the problem is with this, it may take off a lot of that surface, especially if you're doing pastels, because it will soak into the paper, and you may have to go over it. But at that point, when you are clear that this is it, we will spray about 12 inches away, make sure it's well shaken, and it's all sprayed outside, so we don't get the fumes. And
Can that be sprayed as you're in progress? So you
There's
work on it,
there's
spray it, work
workable-
on it more,
yeah,
spray
the only
it.
problem, again, is sort of like working with a computer, save as, and if you didn't save, you know, because you can't go back and change it. Once that fixative is on, that's it.
That, and there is also workable fixative, and this is not. So I mean, you can, it might change the tooth of the paper and the quality of it, and the way the charcoal adheses to it.
Okay, now, this real advantage for a class is that it's very flexible. Unlike the pencil, it's not easily erased without leaving traces. If you are going to erase this, you can take your kneaded eraser and erase it, but then very shortly your kneaded eraser is so impregnated with charcoal it doesn't serve you any purpose. So the very first thing, I want to get rid of this, use a paper towel. Okay, I've gotten rid of almost all of this. Then the chamois, and then the kneaded eraser, in that order. Okay. So you will save
Taking notes.
a great deal on your chamois, you'll really save on your kneaded eraser. Also, the nice thing about a kneaded eraser, you can get it down to a very fine shape or whatever you want. You can twist it, trim it, whatever. And for years I spelled it N-E-E-D. Kneaded.
You don't big bread.
No,
Well,
and I don't kneel. Okay, now if you remember anything from last week, I want to erase, so I've got a very, not a gradated surface here. Let me put this back again, but I just, all this smudge area, I want a perfectly straight edge. How do I do it?
Put something
Clean
over it,
paper,
and then
yeah.
a piece of paper or cover.
And whatever you do, you know, if you have a beautiful drawing here and you put your hand there, part of the drawing is going to be tattooed to your hand. It's a messy material, but you will get a real black which will extend your value range, and you will also have something very flexible. So I hope, you know, if you're going with this and things are not quite working out and you've gone through all this and you've got this drawn in here and I say, well, it should be about an inch more to the left, especially when we get into composition. Oh, okay. Or you say, well, you know, I've got all these marks in here, and in the particular marks that I've got, I have
Jeez.
30 more years, 40 more years.
okay, I've really got something going. Okay, if I do this, wonderful, because if I've got that, I don't want white in the final thing anyway. And so if you're initially drawing something in and you have been beginning to develop this drawing, it's not terribly bad for value contrast to already have something in here that is not white. Okay, so we can come in and using a neat eraser, maybe pull out areas and subtract, because it's very easy and it's part of the whole process. More like painting than drawing in that particular sense. So that the charcoal can be either your worst enemy or one of your best friends. Now, also realize that you can get charcoal in a different form, that is a Conte crayon. I have a box up there, I think with some charcoal and Conte. No, is it over, way over?
I have a piece of con.
Oh, she has Conte
Oh,
here.
yes, right here.
Now, this comes in different hardnesses. I don't know, this looks pretty hard to me. This is very soft, and this is in a
Same green
terracotta.
and sepia.
Yeah, you can get it in all kinds of forms and shapes and hardnesses. And
Nice
what
box.
they have done is basically taken this charcoal or the various powders and added clay so that you have a little more firm and less, well, this is not so bad. But you see, I can control this quite differently than the vine charcoal. And you say, well, then why won't we use this? Because see, I can put in using the whole side of this. She said, don't use any more of it. Yeah. Okay. And you say, well, my gosh, that's so much more controllable than this. It is, but now try to erase it. And already you're facing almost the same problem you might have with a pencil. Not to that extent, but this is marvelous for developing in life drawing and whatnot. But if we're dealing with something where you're really going to be doing a lot of correcting, this may not be your best answer. But it's a
What is
marvelous.
this called?
This is called Conte, C-O-N-T-E. Crayon.
Yes.
And don't get a really hard Conte. I think the numbers get hard. Can you read a number on that, or is it on the box? I can't remember whether 3 is softer than 1.
It just says B,
That says what?
B,
B.
B,
Oh, I didn't know.
Conte, Paris.
What did B say?
2450.
It
Oh,
says,
that doesn't know.
No, it certainly doesn't. It says Comte au Paris, and it says 2450.
Okay,
this
but
one says 2480 B.
She keeps
Okay.
saying.
He tells us that means.
Maybe they go by that serial number.
Yeah.
let me have this. Because I always encourage, because of the value of the white paper, as I've done here, you see, if I sketch all of this in see, this is much softer than this. I could do all of the rough preliminary drawing in this and then wipe it down either with my hand or something else. Because once I have done this, I've gotten rid of a lot of the white, so that I very often, if I'm doing a life drawing, with a Conte print, you can get in, let me, because I may have a lot of fairly rough drawing done. I don't know if you're familiar with the pastels of Degas, but this is very much a technique which he would utilize, so that you already have gotten rid of the white, and then
So this is where the study of shadow leads, because you start to see how the shadow here creates
Yeah.
the whole lip
but
and
now
nose. Huh.
and I can go both ways. I can lighten, or you might have chalk. You could come in and put the highlights. But the point is that you haven't exploited, gone all the way to white, except just a few carefully chosen areas where you might have one fairly bright highlight, if you follow what I'm saying. So don't worry in a charcoal drawing about messing up the background, so to speak. In fact, it would probably be to your advantage. In fact, and I have some charcoal paper here which already has this color. It comes this color, or several other, mostly tone color, in the greens or the blues. So you can get charcoal paper at almost any level, but it is helpful to just get rid of that white, especially if you're really engaged with value. For example, if you just look at this, how much white is there? We won't have time for this, but I've done classes where, let's say we're doing the skull of the bull, and you do the same drawing on black paper as white paper, and they should look identical.
Wow.
Because if I give you a blackboard, most people will take white chalk, and the image is done almost like a negative in a photo. You put your darks in as white chalk. And it's rather interesting, because if the given is black and you're just bringing the whites out, that's quite a different development than going from a typical white piece of paper. Sue, do me a favor, turn on that light, and we might as well at least save us some time for next week. We've got about 10 minutes here. I'd like to have you tell me how you would approach the drawing of this. Thinking again of the paper clip